Hi everyone, hope you're doing well from wherever you're watching this channel, depending on the time zone. Now, regarding Gachagwa and his opposition team are in Mount Kenya East. And immediately this team landed in Meru. They started using certain words that somehow demean the deputy president, Kithure Kindiki. In fact, they even went further to mimic Kindiki in an attempt to just show that Kindiki, indeed, he does not have a commanding voice. That he cannot really command and show leadership in Meru and in Mount Kenya region at large. Though we know there are other things that emerged when a certain team, we can just call them goons, went on to block the road using power. So where do you get power? So immediately you come and cut the trees just to block the road so that opposition leaders cannot pass. It means it was organized again. So despite all this, yes, Gachagwa and his team managed to address the intended groups of people. But now, when you listen to Gachagwa's statement in reference to Kithure Kindiki, you start wondering, really, is there other reasons causing this level of war between Gachagwa and Kithure Kindiki? Here is the video where Gachagwa was mimicking Deputy President Kithure Kindiki.
Mtu ya sauti kidogo. Ni fire si fire. Ni noma si noma. Ni fire si fire. Hiyo ni mtu ya kutisha wa Meru.
Now, I want us to continue with the panel discussion, but before we go deep into that, I have a quick and humble request for those who are watching the channel and you have not subscribed, please consider subscribing. To our returning subscribers, I must say thank you so much. And again, to all our viewers, please give this video a thumbs up. Thank you so much, and back to our discussion. Now, when you listen to Rigathi Gachagwa, he sounds more of a comedian. Yani, amepeleka tu uchokozi kule Meru. He just went there to mimic Kithure Kindiki. And the comedians are now complaining that these politicians are taking over their work. Wanasema kila mtu akae kwa lane yake. Wanauliza, if Gachagwa will come and mimic Kithure Kindiki, what will comedians do? Sana tukua kazi ya comedians. So Gachagwa literally dropped a comedy. But then this comedy, what was the reason behind this? What is his intention with that comedy? Like as I said in the beginning, Gachagwa is in Meru to demean one man, Kithure Kindiki, such that in the eyes of Meru people and Mount Kenya region people at large, they see Kithure Kindiki as a leader who is powerless, who is not worthy, who cannot be trusted, who cannot push for the agenda because he don't have a voice. Not just a voice, but a commanding voice. So, by trying to suggest that Kindiki is a man of soprano, so Gachagwa is telling the public that soprano cannot command, it can't lead, it can't be the voice of the community. Demeaning Kindiki. So, ikifika hapo, naona hii vita kati ya Gachagwa na Kindiki imekuwa personalized. Sababu watoto wa Kindiki wako hapo wanasikiza, someone senior mimicking their dad. Bibi ya Kindiki ako hapa anasikiza wakimdalalisha bwana yake kwa sababu ya sauti. The other impression that Gachagwa want to bring out is that yani Kindiki ako na sauti ya wamama. So he's reducing Kindiki to tunaweza sema anamuona kama mama. Kwa hivyo akitoa sauti kama ya mama na yeye ni mwanaume, basi hafai, hatoshi, hastahili. This is the impression that Gachagwa want his audience to get. But then, is this really helping Rigathi Gachagwa and the opposition in their campaign? In as much we have people who are laughing there, and by the way, it is laughable because it's a comedy. You know, comedy is meant to make you laugh. So I don't believe everyone laughing there is in agreement with Gachagwa's statement. In as much, yes, Kindiki ni mtu wa soprano, and really Gachagwa pushed Kithure Kindiki to the wall. To an extent, Kindiki has now to invent a bass. Siku hizi tunamwona Mheshimiwa Kindiki huwa ana force bass. He's really forcing kutoa hiyo sauti ya bass. But I think in my view, he should not go that direction, because then it means he's now falling into this pressure of the soprano. Inafaa ongeze kuongea hiyo soprano yake, na kama hawa jamaa watazidi kumkejeli, it can turn into sympathy. Yes. The people will sympathize with him that he has been mocked enough for no good reason. And to that level, in my view, I believe that opposition is losing it. Because now they are concentrating on mocking Kindiki rather than focusing on real agenda that will convince the residents of Meru to find a reason not to support Kindiki or vote for him. They must go on ground and articulate on those issues, the failures. You know, Kindiki speaking in a soprano is not a failure. That is the work of God. He is the maker of God. So we cannot mock kazi ya Mungu. Hiyo ni kazi ya Mungu. We can't mock that on a serious note. So these guys are focusing more on irrelevant issues. They focus more on comedy. But I don't see them articulating to the residents of Meru to understand that having a leader from your region is not enough. It should go beyond that issue of mtu yetu to the level of service delivery to the people. They are not articulating on that. So the big thing after this rally, what people will remember the most, it is the comedy that Gachagwa made in Meru, akiongea kama soprano ya Kindiki. That is what people are going to remember. But they will not remember serious issues that opposition is convincing them about as far as the failure of this regime is concerned. Hawatakumbuka hizo zote. Ile watakumbuka ni hii comedy. Na hii comedy does not convince anyone to find a reason not to associate or vote for Kithure Kindiki's side. I don't know how you see that. But that is what I can conclude from this event. You end up losing agenda when you focus more on personalizing the war. And I think these guys are personalizing the war because, again, in Gachagwa, there is that feeling that this guy literally took over my position. And the war between Kindiki and Gachagwa did not start today. At first place, Kindiki was angry with Gachagwa in the manner in which the running mate to William Ruto was selected. He was a preferred running mate, supported by a majority of members of parliament from Mount Kenya. But Ruto opted for Gachagwa because of his own political reason that he knew. Then later, Gachagwa akakuwa shortchanged. So, hii vita ya hawa jamaa wawili ilianza kitambo, and it is personal. No maana mwingine anaenda anafunga barabara, mwingine asikuje, pia hiyo inaangusha Kindiki in a big way. Inaonyesha someone who is a failure, worried, and does not have a good way of countering his opponents. Instead, he's using force and orthodox means. So hii ni vita kati ya watu wawili, sio ya wananchi.